El 20 de diciembre del año 2023,
Congressman Yoshiharu Asakawa of Japan, motivated by his participation in the first public hearing on the regulation of the unidentified anomalous phenomenon, held in Mexico on September 12, 2023, decided to propose in his own Congress an initiative for the implementation of an investigation office official. This initiative was carried out in the presence of the Minister of Defense of Japan, Mr. Kihara, who listened carefully to Congressman Sakawa's approach. To learn more about what happened during this session, what do you intend to legislate on the issue in Japan? The third millennium owner journalist Jaime Osan interviewed Mr. Yoshihara Asakawa. Congratulations on the extraordinary achievements you have had in recent weeks at the Japanese Congress. Would you please explain to us what your proposal was and what happened? In fact, I have spoken about the topic at my Congress on 2 occasions. The first in November and later in December. Both interventions were during the security sessions of the Chamber of Deputies and where I had the opportunity to ask some questions to the new Minister of Defense. What I proposed in the December session occurred in the following way. I explained that in the United States, an organization has been established to collect information and evidence of unidentified anomalous phenomena. Why don't we create a similar organization in the Japanese government that does exactly the same thing? The response of the Minister of Defense to my proposal was not immediate. He did not say, yes, let's create an organization. But it caught a lot of their attention. Since he is very critical, he told me that they are going to take into account my position as well as my concern to propose policies from that moment on and from then on, considering the presence of these unidentified anomalous phenomena. Congressman Yoshiharu Asakawa also spoke of the enormous importance of having participated in the first public hearing of the UIP phenomenon in our country. You have to realize that Japan's defense chairman, Mr. Kihara, was a commercial pilot for Japan's best-known airline. What allowed me in those defense scenes is that the president of Japan's defense, Mr. Kihara, was a commercial pilot for Japan's best-known airline. What allowed me, in that session, to share with him and my colleagues a detailed report with a report of my visit to the Congress of Mexico, the audience to which I was invited. This is the report I shared. After presenting it, I had another opportunity to ask more questions, and that's when I noticed that his attitude had changed significantly. Mr. Asakawa highlighted the enormous interest generated in Japan by the presentation of the Nazca drying bodies in the Congress of Mexico where he was present, and how it influenced public opinion in his nation to place him as the first official who is trying to legislate around the topic. After my intervention in the Congress of Japan in the month of September 2023, I obtained what I could say a greater power of persuasion to talk about these issues in my country. And I have to say that all this was completely thanks to my visit to Mexico. This participation of my part in the Mexican Congress had a huge coverage in the press of Japan. But I must mention that if my participation had only been limited to presenting myself as a deputy, perhaps it would not have had the same impact. But what powerfully caught the attention of the media in my country was precisely the presentation of the Nazca mummies that you presented in Congress. It had such an impact that it was presented in all electronic media and written. Derived from this interest, I'm going to present an article that the New magazine presented, which is published here in my country, which specializes in these topics. On the cover, they published my name, electronic and written media. Derived from this interest, I'm going to present to you an article presented by New magazine, which is published here in my country, which specializes in these topics.
On the cover, they published my name.
Inside, they dedicated 6 pages with photographs and information about the mummies that were exhibited in Mexico.
での写真も大きく載せていただいています。で、こういうことが
Thanks to this coverage and the impact that the presence of the Nazca mummies generated in Japan, I am now known throughout the country as the UFO Congressman.
Without a doubt, the work of Mr. Yoshiharu Asakawa is worthy of recognition, since he is the only official in Japan who, despite the criticism and lack of interest from his colleagues, is making history in his attempt to bring his country to Congress. Official initiatives that recognize the presence of a technology that is not from the Earth. Information for the Third Millennium 360 International.
60 Internacional.